Hi there, and welcome to Inktober Tangles 2025. I'm Martha, and I'm here to lead you through day 11, which is the bee fly tangle. I'll be doing two tangles for you. We'll start off with a simple version of the tangle, and then we will do a second version that has a little bit more flair to it. I'm starting off the simple version on a bijou tile using a Pigma Micron 01 pen in the color black. I'm going to first draw a large teardrop shape and then a second one overlapping it, a little bit smaller, and then a third also overlapping and smaller, and then a fourth. And it kind of, to me, reminds me of flower petals that are fanning out. Next, I'm filling in those overlapping spaces. So the areas between each of those teardrop shapes. And I'm using a larger tipped pen. I switched to an 08 size here, just so it would go a little bit faster. Next up, I'm going to draw a large orb down at the point where all of the teardrops meet, and then two smaller orbs on the left and right side of it. In the middle of each teardrop, drawing a long curved line with a few little dots trailing after it, maybe more dots on the bigger teardrops and then fewer on the smaller ones. And then the last step is to aura the entire tingle. Well, the last step before adding some graphite. I'm now adding some graphite down in the area where all of the ends of the teardrops meet, and adding a little bit of graphite on the side of the orbs to make them look more three-dimensional. And of course, blending that in using my tortillon to soften up that graphite. And I've actually come out here and added a little bit of graphite, not with the pencil, but I'm just using what is on the tortillon to add just the slightest bit of graphite at the outside edge. I kind of decided at the last minute to add a little bit there. And there you go. That is the bee fly tangle. Simple style. For the next version of this tangle, I'm going to be using a lot of grays. So a gray tile and then two gray pens, and the colors are, the lighter color is 42 and the darker color is 44. And I have an 05 size and a 10 size, but I believe I'll just be using the 05 for most of this. So I'm starting by adding 4 dots here in the corners of this gray tile, and then connecting them with a line to create a border. Next, I'm taking my dark gray pen in an 05 size, and I'm drawing a large teardrop shape. Notice that I didn't stay inside my border completely. I'm drawing a smaller teardrop shape, and then a third, and then a fourth one. So each one is getting progressively smaller, and they are all overlapping the one next to it. I'm now using the size 10 pen, the same gray, number 44, to color in those spaces, those overlapping areas between each of the teardrop shapes. This is when it's nice to have a larger tipped pen. You can still color in with the smaller one, but this does it a little bit more quickly. I'm now going back to that 05 size so I can draw a large orb at the point where all of the teardrop shapes meet, and then two smaller orbs on the left and the right. And then I'm going to aura the entire piece. And I'm speeding up this next section just for time's sake, but feel free to pause it and meet me when you are done. I'm now going to add a curved line and several dots inside of each of the teardrop shapes. And I've actually gone back to the size 10 pen just to add a little bit more of the dark gray. I'm switching over to the lighter of the two gray pens, which is color 42, and this is an 05 size. And I'm drawing a series of parallel lines from the top to the bottom, the top border to the bottom border. And I started in the middle, so a series of parallel lines there. And then if you want to jump all the way to the right side and do two, and then two in between. And then I'm connecting that border. So imagine a window, and this is, the wood between the window panes. It's kind of the effect that I was aiming for. Inside each of those window panes, if you will, I'm going to draw a series of parallel diagonal lines. Feel free to pause the video and take your time. You'll notice that I have done diagonal lines in each window pane going different directions, just to have a little bit of variety. And I'm making sure I get the little areas in the corners. All right, now we're gonna have some fun. We're gonna add a little bit of sparkle. This is a Jelly Roll pen, number 700, I believe is what that says. I used to use this pen a lot back in the scrapbooking days. It was like 20 years ago when I would do a lot of handmade cards. And it's a pen I don't use very frequently, and especially not in my tangles, but I thought it worked really well with the gray theme that's going on here. And so I'm using it to just color in kind of like a window frame or these borders. It just adds a nice little hint of sparkle. I'm now going to use a white charcoal pencil to add some highlights to this tangle. So I'm just adding the white on the outer edge of the teardrop shape. And then also down here on the orbs, I'm adding a little bit of highlight to the side of each of them. And I just thought I would note here that I mark all of my tortillons. so that they are specific to the color charcoal, because I don't want to use my graphite tortillon with my white charcoal tortillon, or get them mixed up. Um, so it's something a CZT taught me when I was first learning, um, over a decade ago, to mark my tortillon with the color ink, or the color charcoal, I should say, that I'm only going to be using that tortillon for. So I've blended in here the white charcoal with the tortillon. And now I'm going to come in and I'm actually going to add some graphite. So down at the bottom of the teardrops, along those curved lines that are running through each of the teardrops, or petal shapes. And then, of course, blending that in with my graphite tortillon. Just softening it up. Add a little bit of a different gray here. So a lot of grays going on this tile. And so one last thing, I've decided to add some of that white charcoal on the outer edge of the border. This is always a fun way to add kind of a glow to the outside edge. So I'm just running my white charcoal pencil along the edge, and then I'll go in and soften it up with the tortillon. And now, of course, I'm going to come in and add my chop down at the bottom, and then flip it over and fill out all the information. So we are on day 11. So we're a third of the way done with Inktober Tangles. And this is the bee fly tangle. Thank you again for joining me. I hope you have enjoyed this gray variation of the bee fly tangle with a hint of sparkle. Again, my name is Martha, and I look forward to tangling with you again tomorrow. Have a good one.